pain, nor despair, nor thought of confusion exists, and where all is that divine order of things of which the poets have dreamed, and which fills the hearts of the womankind of earth with hope, for they aspire for their sons and daughters. A land of beauty, rolling continents filled with abundance and happy homes and firesides. I am in complete sympathy with these ideals. I greet you today in the name of my beloved, my blessed brother of light, the ascended Jesus the Christ, and I bid you be seated now. A mantle of Christ's perfection is a cosmic gift of which the ordinary man or woman upon this planet is little aware, not only in one embodiment, but many, unless given opportunity, during which time they are given training in the great art of the divine life. The churches and temples of the world dedicated to the great religious faiths of the world, all of these have served well the cause of the Brotherhood to partially illumine the mankind of earth in one respect concerning their cosmic destiny. They have kept alive the fires of hope within the human heart, and in times of distress, these religions and the men and women who serve them have blessed the mankind of earth with a balm of such comfort as was within their poor power to convey. The great white brotherhood, that august fraternity of holy men, not men of the outer cloth, but men of the Spirit, who wear robes of righteousness and have won their eternal wings, has continued to reach those wings of light and hope and healing out over the planet. The ordinary man or woman is not aware of the existence of this great spiritual fraternity. The ordinary man or woman thinks of God at times as an ancient individual, dwelling in a place which, if they are asked, most men cannot tell, called heaven. Individuals who are very ordinary in their thought have a very nebulous and cloud-like concept of just what heaven is like. They do not know that the fruit falls but far from the parent tree. They do not know the meaning of the simplest forms and ideas, so engrossed are they in the net of human delusion. The outpicturing of cosmic consciousness upon earth is certainly not abundant. Those few men who have chosen to cherish the arts of the Spirit in every generation have been honored and are honored today. The light and the power and the glory of the Buddha, the light and the power of the glory of Jesus the Christ, stand out as shining examples among mankind, and there have been many others. Yet they are but few when contrasted with the multitudes who, like sheep following the herd instincts, pursue the vain glories and pleasures of life to eventually reach the time of their life when but ashes of their energies remain, and they have not pursued the pathway of the Spirit, but have wasted the years, the days, the hours, and the minutes of opportunity to follow only that which brings ashes and pain and a feeling of shadow and despair. The ascended Master Jesus the Christ, in his address to you this morning, gave you some of the best advice that I or any of the other sons of heaven have heard for a long time. You were blessed with the living presence of that Master, that friend of the ages. Blessed ones, count these opportunities and moments as precious. Count these hours and moments as most dear, for they speak not to you of temporal glory. They speak of an eternal portion of your inheritance, the inheritance of the elect, and your rightful state of consciousness and happiness. As I stand here today in your midst, I am conscious of a feeling of great happiness, because the 5 ascensions told to you by beloved Serapis have occurred, and the beauteous momentum thereof was added to Jesus' radiation this morning to make a fragrant bouquet of the Spirit. I have been granted power by the other members of the Karmic Board from Helios and Vesta this very day to advise you that we have drawn from the cave of light in the land of India a great radiant and transcendent ray of light which blazes forth into your midst today to assist those of you who desire to make your ascension at the close of this embodiment in doing just that. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you, if you were given the opportunity to be crucified, would desire to accept it? And yet, that is what mankind have been outpicturing, is crucifixion, pain, and sorrow in consciousness. I offer you not these gifts, for they are not the gifts of the Spirit. I offer you the gift of your ascension. I have been charged with the cosmic responsibility of being the Manu of the 7th root race. Blessed and beloved ones, I offer my momentum to all mankind today who see in the ascension of the great Master Jesus an opportunity that they may have in their own world and life, who have faith in the divine purposes and realize that God's plan for them is the same as it was for beloved Jesus. Blessed ones who are here today for the first time to hear me speak, this may seem a bit strange to you, and you may have the opinion that you are hearing the words of mortal man. This is not so. For through a means known unto us, we are able to flash our consciousness through human form and to communicate with those of you who by the desire of your heart have invoked our presence by cosmic law, so that we might speak to you of the cosmic possibility which life holds in store for you. The great universities of the world, overshadowed at times by the brothers of the golden robe who desire to impart illumination's flame, find no trouble in assembling large numbers of students who desire to learn the knowledge of this world. They desire to learn the sciences of medicine. They desire to learn the arts, the law, architecture, and all of the various sciences and wisdoms and attainments which are so familiar to mankind and represent a culture of this present age, carried over, as it were, from the great masters of past ages. There is a greater opportunity, blessed ones, in accepting the light and pressure of the Spirit than in all human attainments, although we do not in the least speak against the attainment of human knowledge. For human knowledge, when rightly understood by mankind, is a boon of great blessing to the people of this earth. It has permitted a culture to flourish today which would not be possible if the sciences and arts had not enlightened man under our direction. Notice I say under our direction, for I tell you, and I tell you in truth, that this civilization in which you now live would long ago have gone down under, and the cataclysmic action which took place on Atlantis and Lemuria would long ago have destroyed this particular civilization. The cause of the students, many of them frail in body, some of them are even stronger today, however, than they were when they first had this knowledge, are responsible for invoking our aid and assistance. It is extremely difficult for most people living in a sea of human emotion and feeling to realize the great truth of the universe. They do not realize the complete plans of God. Blessed and beloved ones, the plans of God are so wonderful, beyond human or mortal mind or human consciousness. The plans of God are determined to foster upon this earth men and women of the Spirit and bring these ages to the fruition of the Spirit, where the utilization of divine knowledge can be spread abroad across the face of the earth, so that mankind will not only pursue human knowledge, but will pursue the cosmic knowledge which is our lot and portion. The words I speak are words of truth. Those of you who by reason of human density and shadow have not yet entered in to the atmosphere of faith which Jesus and the beloved great masters manifested, may prove this great law yourself by calling upon it. You need not criticize in your thoughts or feelings those who elect to follow the path of the Spirit. For I tell you, people of this earth, and people here of New York, its environs, and other parts of the world, that if your eyes were opened and you could see the God magnificence which surrounds this sanctuary as you come together here in heavenly places, you would never again doubt. You would never again have occasion to fear. Last evening a great action took place when the goddess of purity spoke to you. The accent on this class, this convocation, has been the ascension and purity. Purity is the way to your ascension, and your ascension is from impurity into purity. Now this may sound like an enigma, but it is not. For upon this earth there is externalized, misqualified energy. This misqualified energy is the result of man drawing from the light itself, the light of their own causal body, the light of their God presence, great streams of energy which beat their heart, and then by wrong thought and feelings charging forth an energy into the atmosphere of the planet, and thought forms which in themselves do not resemble the Godhead in the least, but resemble only human creation and human claws. Blessed and beloved ones, these creations are hurtful. They are responsible for the un-Christ-like conditions of the outer world. And therefore, we together must cooperate to take great measures to see that they are corrected that this civilization does not go down in a cataclysmic action. That which has been forestalled by the calls of the students of light who have given us calls and authority to act in their world are responsible for the forestaying of this action. The great law does not promise that it shall always be forestayed unless men and women shall be faithful and diligent and shall strive to educate the people of this great land, the heart of America, as beloved Saint Germain intends. Your beloved master, Saint Germain, ladies and gentlemen, whose picture graces this sanctuary here, is responsible for the birth of freedom upon this planet in one sense of the word, particularly in the eras that have been in the near past and in this present day. For 2,000 years he shall be the aegis of civilization in the name and cause of freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, from your hearts you ought to salute Saint Germain for his activity. You ought to salute and love this great God of freedom, my son and friend. Will you join me now in raising your hands toward his portrait? And will you together say, "Hail to thee, thou God of freedom, our friend. Hail to thee, thou God of freedom, our friend. Come thou, King of freedom.
Come thou, King of freedom.
Into our midst.
Into our midst.
We welcome thee.
We welcome thee.
In the cause of the cosmic Christ.
In the cause of the cosmic Christ.
In the cause of God freedom to the earth.
In the cause of God freedom to the earth.
And in the name of victory.
And in the name of victory.
For every man, woman, and child.
For every man, woman, and child.
Every babe in its mother's arms.
Every babe in its mother's arms.
Every unborn child that is incoming.
Every unborn child that is incoming.
And all those who have just departed these spheres.
And all those that have just departed these spheres.
May the whole cyclic round of existence.
May the whole cyclic round of existence.
The being of God.
The being of God.
Find its freedom.
Find its freedom.
In thy sacred name.
In thy sacred name.
O Saint Germain.
O Saint Germain.
Our holy brother.
Our holy brother.
Thank you, beloved friends. Won't you please be seated? In this very room is the life stream through whom Saint Germain spoke long ago. She sits today in a female embodiment in this audience, and it was through her that Saint Germain spoke and said, "Sign that document," referring to that great Declaration of Independence. You are fortunate, ladies and gentlemen, to be a part of a revelatory activity, an activity which, because of its divine connection with our octave, is able to perform a more than ordinary service for mankind. I have waited this long to step up the vibratory action, and I borrowed your energy for a moment which you gave to Saint Germain, and I shall return it to you hallowed and blessed with the divine leaven, that you may take home with you from this convocation a wonderful force of light to be of assistance to you throughout this coming year. Assistance, blessed ones, in thwarting the law of karma in its negative aspects. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you are aware that God is absolutely just? How many of you feel that he is not just? Anyone who feels that God is not just feel so simply because they do not know the law, and they have only seen a small portion of divine justice. For God and His law is absolutely just, and therefore whatsoever any man, woman, or child, and I say child also, for they are God's also in small or tinier form, and you would be amazed at the wisdom of the child when they smite one another. Blessed and beloved ones, whatsoever of karma is created by man, the wrong that men do, does return to them. Like a boomerang, it comes back to them. And whatsoever of good they do, likewise returns. Too much emphasis has been placed upon negative karma, and not enough upon the return of good karma. But I am particularly concerned today with advising you to thwart the return of bad karma by just not creating it. There are times that your feelings become disturbed, and because your feelings are disturbed, you proceed to take a course of action which seems right to you, and you draw energy from the universe in thought and feeling, and you direct this energy toward another unascended human being. Fortunately for yourselves, most of you have not saw fit to direct it at us. However, I tell you that even in directing it at other human beings, you do not escape the return current of that energy, which comes back carrying a great deal more energy than that which you sent out. Now, therefore, the part of wisdom is to thwart this karma by not accepting any condition whatsoever that is negative, and do not send out or transmit energy of hate, energy of ill feelings, or ill will to any part of life, and then you will not have any to reap. That does not necessarily mean that you will be free from having energy directed at you, for individuals upon this earth still have free will, and some of them choose to exercise it in outpicturing imperfection. This they must do until they learn the great laws of life and are cut free from discordant energy and thought and feeling. This great law, with which so many of you are familiar in consciousness, does not always seem to be present when you require it. It seems to be far away, as though it were in a foreign country. We sometimes look on askance as you forget the fact that you are blessed with this knowledge, and you seem to think that you shall escape the law of karma completely because you are you. But blessed and beloved ones, there are none who escape. And if I were to take on a body today as an ascended being and to renounce my ascension, which I have no intention of doing, having had enough of these spheres, I presume that if I created an outpouring that was not in keeping with the divine will, that I too would then reap it. Blessed and beloved ones, do you not understand that this is an inexorable law, but it is not the will of God? That is to say, it is not the will of God that you should reap harm, but it is the law of God. There is a distinction here between the law and the will. You must learn to understand these laws and to use them practically. As long as you do not use them practically, you cannot be a living Christ. You cannot have the great sweetness, the great vibratory action of Jesus the Christ. You cannot have that beauty of the lilies. Solomon was not arrayed, as Jesus said, in as great a glory as the lilies of the field, in all the glory which Solomon wore. So, blessed ones, if you are to have the beauty of the flowers themselves in your life made manifest, it must be because you are living Christ in action and have seized the practical opportunities of the moment and decided that you are going to live the life. These basic and elemental truths continue to be told to you repeatedly and repeatedly in the hope, and I do not think it a vain one, for I have faith in you, that sometime you will finally reach enough acceptance and penetration in your consciousness, and you will summon forth enough God determination that you will, according to a figure of speech used in the world, take the bull by the horns and determine to overcome your weaknesses and your vicissitudes. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel certain that if you could see the garments of light which I wear and the transcendent jewels which adorn those garments, perhaps some of you would express a great desire to be adorned with these garments. I know particularly some of the ladies who are very fond of ornamentation, and I can understand this, for it is an innate desire within their hearts to have beauty and express beauty. Could see these garments, they would certainly be filled with a desire to be clothed with them. Nothing comes to anyone until they deserve it. Remember this, in fighting that jealousy which often sweeps into human hearts. Attainment is of so little importance when it comes to the worldly attainment. The great Master Jesus said, when you are bid to a feast, do not take the chief seats, but wait until one speaks to you and asks you to come up hither, and then take the chief seats when you are bidden. Humility, blessed ones, is a garment in itself, which is so wondrous to look upon that it, in a sense, almost creates cosmic jealousy when we, who are great cosmic beings, behold the garments of humility on a simple creature who walks this earth as a child of God. In other words, the simple garment of humility itself, like the glory of the lilies, would even cause us to envy if we had that quality in our world. So beauteous is it. I am sure you understand the meaning of what I say. The radiation of beloved Jesus, which came to you this morning as a great cosmic outpouring from our heart, was filled and flooded with many cosmic beings, but its vibratory action was his own sweet self. And all of us who love him so much at inner levels feel an equal love for the Holy Christ self of each one of you and of every man and woman and child upon this planet. Today, in South America, my domain over which, in a spiritual sense, I preside, and where I will externalize as the Manu of the seventh root race, there now arises a transcendent and beautiful beginning in the land of Brazil, in the city of Brasilia. There has been created a beautiful setting and climate for the government over which we will preside during the reign of the seventh root race. I advise those among you who are skeptics and agnostics, you who doubt spiritual manifestation, you who have within your consciousness a feeling that this is merely the accomplishment of man, this speaking to you, I advise you to study, to show yourself approved to God. I advise you to examine the small segment of consciousness which you now use. Note how little you know of the customs of other lands, how little you know of the customs of the tribes of Africa and Iceland and the cultures in South America and other parts of the world. I do not say this to shame anyone. I say it in truth, for even in this room, represented as it is by a great wealth of intellectual attainment and cultural attainment, there is also a dearth of knowledge, even about this earth itself. There is so much that many of you do not know, even about the history of this world. There is so much that you do not know, even about the history of other lands and other peoples. I do not advise that you should spend your time in the pursuit of the most delicate knowledge about all of these countries, unless you feel so inclined. I find no fault if you wish to do so. But I would advise that you begin to examine the outer appearance world with a view to seeing what consciousness and mind designed that outer appearance world. If you look at the works of a watch, the intricacy and the delicacy of those works and parts speaks to your consciousness of a mastermind, a jeweler, the creation of one skilled in manipulating tiny gears and wheels and encasing them within a very small case. The intricacies of a flower, the intricacies of the valves within a human heart, the pia mater and the dura mater of the brain, the parts of your body, the cells, the atomic structure, all of these are very wondrous to behold. They are intricate in detail, and they speak to you of a more infinite and cosmic light, a great wisdom which designed them and created them and sustains them and preserves them for a cosmic purpose. The purpose of God was manifest most beautifully in the ascended Jesus Christ. Before I conclude my address, which shall not be just yet, I desire a certain music to be played, during which I shall ask that the Christ consciousness of this morning shall return once again to bless those of you who are not here during that particular season and session. Breathes there a soul with feelings so calloused, who cannot feel the living presence of the Christ? Open then the pranic star door within your consciousness, the door of your heart, the feeling world, and feel the great love, the love of God for His creation. The manifestation of the unfailing, never-failing light of God as it manifested in Jesus the Christ shall manifest in all of you one day, because you have invoked it. You have compelled, blessed students, the great law to obey you because you have obeyed it. The obedience of mankind to the cosmic law results in a great cosmic outpouring of divine obedience and divine strength. The words of Jesus in their great nobility, "Suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not," are equally applicable to all mankind who by reason of their self-imposed limitations are little children in consciousness until they attain to the power of the ascended masters. How many among you today are able to levitate your bodies from the chairs on which you sit? How many of you are able in consciousness at this moment to travel to the city of Chicago and behold the people there walking the streets? How many of you can heal leprosy or cancer? How many of you in this place are able to invoke by the power of precipitation untold cosmic wealth and abundance? How many of you are able to create a palace of light out of eternal substance, tangible and visible to the eyes of men? How many of you are able to make your bodies disappear from physical sight so that no one can see you? How many of you can transport that disappeared body and move it through time and space to another part of the earth and there reassemble it and make it visible? How many of you can reach out a staff or reach out your hand and cause fire to descend from on high? How many of you wield the powers of the ascended masters? Stop and think then. Are you men of God, or are you yet children of God? The rightful powers and dominion over all the earth which God intends for every man is your inheritance and is used by the ascended masters. The ascended masters do all these things and many more, and they do them today. K-17 has materialized countless times and has walked in the subways under the city, has walked in Central Park, has manifested throughout this entire United States and in various other parts of the world. Beloved Jesus himself has manifested and walked the streets of these cities even during this age. Blessed and beloved ones, do you think this sounds strange or impossible? It again is the result of your own limited consciousness. When you will expand your consciousness from the size of a teacup until it is a vast reservoir, then you will find that it can contain more of the blessings of life. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to develop within you a sense of greater reverence from one sex to the other. I think ladies should have a tremendous sense of reverence toward the masculine side of life, and I think it should be equally balanced by the gentleman. Saint Germain is particularly interested in terminating any feeling of rivalry between the masculine and feminine side of life. In fact, Saint Germain is particularly interested, together with myself, in stopping all rivalry everywhere, and let men and women be in competition with the conditions that hold them back. Let them attack the problems themselves, not individuals. Let them consider that there is some particular block somewhere in their world which needs correction, and let them recognize this not as a person, but as a condition which needs correction. Having recognized that this condition needs correction, let them remove this block, this impediment, as you will, and then let flow the great divine substance into their world to supply them with whatever the condition is they lack. And then I think they shall be blessed indeed, for they will have drawn forth from the heart of God an externalization of creation of God. They will have created as God creates, because they will have thought as God thinks, have acted as God does, and have manifested God in human form. This Jesus did. When he took the loaves and the fishes from the young boy, and he brake it and said, "Take and eat this," and he supplied the 5,000, the multitude, with food, this was the manifestation of the divine power of amplification. Every one of you can use that power. The more you use it, the more it increases. Divine power is like that. Human power is restricted. It cuts off life. It pinches off the forces of life in the nerves of your body. And many people are ill today simply because they have in their body and mind a condition of ill feelings toward other parts of life. They have pinched off the life force within their consciousness, and therefore Physical illness comes into manifestation. Mental illness comes into manifestation because of these blocks. Throwing this by the power of the law against another part of life when they have no one to blame but themselves for having wrongly used the law, do you see? I desire today, after the blessed address of beloved Jesus, to give you some instruction that will be so effective throughout the coming year that next Easter, when you come together, many of you will feel almost the desire to come with white robes adorning your physical form. I do not say that you will do this. I say that you will feel like wearing them because you will sense a mantle of cosmic Christ peace flooding down over your world. You will live somewhat of a charmed existence because you will have the radiance of your present, your own God presence, draped not as in this eye picture of the chart, but completely enfolding you so that its head dwells in yours. Its shoulders touch your shoulders. Its hands touch your hands. This will be a greater expansion, as Jesus said, greater things shall ye do, even than he accomplished. For although he wore the prints of the nails in his hands, you will have the divine chakras of your own presence functioning through your hands. And you will find that as you shake hands with individuals who have less energy, some of you may desire to express as Jesus did and say, "Who touched me?" For you will feel a discharge of cosmic energy flowing through your own body, and you will be a healing Christ in action. To be a healing Christ is of great importance, for the doctors in this world, with all of their great abundance and accomplishments, are not always able to handle every case. Many of them they label terminal. Many of these will respond to the touch of the healing hand of the cosmic Christ manifesting through you. You are living in an age of miracles. Physical miracles, yes, but divine miracles always. Saint Germain, who is the Chohan of the seventh ray and the king of freedom for all the earth, desires the externalization of these gifts and graces. The great white brotherhood desires it. You desire it. Why then has there been such a delay? I ask you, in outpicturing these conditions, why have you permitted those of you who have known this law for so long? Do you know? I do not think you really know. There has been lethargy. There has been a lack of appreciation of the divine principles and divine opportunities. And for that, I am not particularly grateful. But I promise you that when I come again after the expiration of 1 year, and I do not mean that I shall not speak to anyone during that time, but when I come again after the expiration of 1 year, I shall expect those of you who love the light, not only with your thoughts and your worded expressions, but your hearts shall have drawn forth by the power of the great law a much greater degree of the divine attainment than that which you have manifested in preceding years. I do not ask for these gifts to manifest for the sake of my own freedom, for I have long ago won my freedom. I ask the manifestation of these gifts and graces for your freedom, ladies and gentlemen, for your blessing and the blessing of the light, and for Saint Germain, and for the ascended host. I ask it for the ascended Jesus Christ. I ask it so that as you walk the streets of the earth, you will be like gentle flowers nodding in the breeze. You will be manifestations of a divine spring, that you will be manifestations of the cosmic Christ, that men will notice that there is something different about you, oh so different. They may not be able to put their finger upon it in consciousness, and they may say, some of them that is, I think that person is a little odd. But blessed and beloved ones, this may well be true that you are perhaps a little odd as far as human consciousness goes, but this oddity will someday become the vogue and become quite fashionable when the seventh root race takes manifestation in South America, and I think that the remnants of the other races who still have not made their ascension ought to do something about making it. Don't you? Ladies and gentlemen, by the power of the blazing cosmic light from the great central sun, I pour out my divine blessing upon all of you. O Amaryllis, spirit of spring, goddess of beauty and loveliness, how grateful the ascended hosts are that this lovely hemisphere is now girded with the first whisperings of spring, the refreshment of hope, the hope that stirs the hearts of men, that summer shall come, and with it the flowering manifestations of every herb and flower and every tree bursting into bud and manifestation and beauty. How wondrous then that the hearts of men should also be touched with a new birth, that their hearts should be touched with the Christ consciousness. And I do not think just touched, ladies and gentlemen, but I think some of you ought to be shocked. And I think that today, before you go to bed today, that some of you will find out that you will be slightly shocked. Do not have any feeling of fear in connection with this, but I have determined, and in fact I have actually, as you might say, pulled a little trick on some of you. I do not think that I shall tell you just what I have accomplished, but while I have been speaking to you, there have been certain forces of light taking great action in this force field because of the great cliffs of light which were created here by a cosmic fiat, by mighty victory. And because of those great cliffs of light, we have shut off certain discordant forces that ordinarily would flow through from Manhattan and other boroughs and parts of New York and the world, human effluvia, human accumulation. And the great transcendent flames that have been invoked here have performed a perfect work, and they have manifested here a sort of a shrine of divine beauty. And this is quite fitting, blessed one, because Paul the Venetian, thy twin flame, and I verify it to thee unalterably in the name of God, has truly expressed his gratitude to me for the opening of this sanctuary and the maintenance of it under extremely and difficult conditions at times. It is a lovely place. Be grateful that you have it to come to. Accept it as a gift from your presence. All things that are lovely and beauty come from that presence. The presence of God is the greatest gift you will ever know. I thank you all. Good afternoon. I am the unfailing love of God. I am the unfailing light of God. For lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Peace to you this day, O blessed and faithful servants, who in this place have for so long held fast to ministration, ministering unto the needs of mankind, and assembling yourselves together that you might invoke in God's name both my presence and the presence of others of the ascended host, the sons of light, the daughters of light, the children of the one Father. I bring to you today some of those memories concerning my Judean embodiment. In God's peace, will you now be seated? Blessed ones, most of you have experienced many awakenings. You have noted that these awakenings differ. At times they are calm and peaceful. Then again they are abrupt and sudden. Then again they are somewhat painful. Mine within the tomb was not painful. There was a restoration of life to the beating heart within the form. There was a gentle flash as the great love of the Mahachohan and others of the ascended host enfolded me. The power of the All-Father enfolded me, and it was like all the divine electricities in the universe flooding through my body and quickening it. And then I began to move my feet, and I noticed that I could move them with ease. And then I tried my hands, and I found that the fingers were nimble. And so I arose. It was a different awakening than on other occasions. It was one in which I knew that I had passed through the veil called death. One of my first acts, blessed and beloved ones, was one from which you may draw a most magnificent lesson. A lesson that I say, verily, verily unto thee, shall be of great assistance every day of your life and every moment after this day. The lesson is simple and plain and sweet and lovely, for it comes from our Father. The lesson, blessed ones, is drawn from my folding of the grave clothes. For I very neatly and carefully folded the grave clothes, for which I no longer had any use or need. Never again, never again, never, never, never again in eternity would I have any use for grave clothes or anything connected with that change called death. I had forever put off mortality, and I had forever put on immortality. I stood there with a new joy flooding my being, and this thought was one of the first that passed through my consciousness. O God, O God, O God, would that all men could do as I have. Would that this moment they were all free and could feel this new joy I have with thee. O God, O God, O God, my heart throbbed, and I spoke to the universe, and I said, my brothers and my sisters everywhere should share this great resurrection, this eternal life. They should not dwell in fear, our Father. And I remembered my tears for Lazarus. Blessed and beloved ones, this sob of my heart went out to mankind, and it has not been spoken of before. But I tell it to you today because I have decided to reveal this from my memoirs that you may sense somewhat the divine feeling that comes to mankind when they pass through the change called the resurrection. The folding of the grave clothes has a much greater lesson then, and I return to it in thought. They were no longer needed. They were left within the empty tomb. I hope today, blessed people who are here in this place and those who shall in the future read these my words, that men everywhere upon earth shall lay aside the grave clothes of human sensitivity, that they shall cease to be sensitive to human hurt and human pain which they imagine is inflicted upon one another, by one another. I hope that they will become instead rather sensitive to God, as I was. I hope they will cease to focus their attention upon one another and permit the sinister side of life, the darkened and shadowed and misqualified energy, from surging into their consciousness and taking possession of their thoughts and feelings and disturbing them because they presume or imagine or in reality some part of life seems to be bringing about some form of harm or threat to themselves. Did I not teach as I wandered along the hillsides of Judea, blessed ones? Did I not speak and say, little children, you are in the hand of our Father. You are in the hand of our Father, and no man can pluck you out of my hand. This magnetically drew, as it draws you now, for I am overshadowing this messenger. And around his form, my robe and form is draped as gently as possible. Blessed one, you are in the hand of God the moment you place yourself there. The moment you place yourself in his hand, in full consciousness, determined that no longer shall you permit yourselves to be in human hands, then and at that moment you are in God's hands. As you are in the Father's hands, it is impossible for human hands to hurt you. I spoke and said, fear not them who can kill the body, who can destroy the physical form, but rather fear, and this fear should be translated adore, but rather adore him who has the power to give life to the soul and to quicken it, or to withhold it according to the cosmic law. Blessed one, it is to the Father that you belong. It is to the Father that you must return. Sensitivity to human consciousness brings human hurt. Pain and distress reeks around the world, entirely because the forces of the shadow, through their great deceit, draw mankind's attention to other human beings. If they would cease their sensitivity to any among mankind and would increase their sensitivity toward God, toward their mighty I am presence, they would have a sense that would be a source of God happiness to them every day in this embodiment. They would develop a sense that would lead them into the arms of immortal life. It would be the greatest healing to human hurt that has ever come into outer manifestation. Tiberius, in his day, ruled the great Roman Empire and administered justice as he saw fit. And the justice of Rome was not as unjust as the hurt that mankind practice today in cruelty to one another. And they do it in my name. when they say, I am against this part of life, I am against that part of life, they use my name in vain, and the eternal law does not hold them guiltless. I came not, the Son of Man came not to condemn the world. I do not come to you today to condemn you. I come to instruct you in the basic simplicity of life, that with me you may fold the grave clothes of human consciousness once and for all time about you, and leave it in that tomb where I left mine. And do as I said unto Lazarus, come forth, come forth, come forth. I say unto thee, arise. Arise from human consciousness and human density. Arise from recalcitrant substance. Arise from feelings of rebellion and resentment. Take your place in the Father's kingdom. Did I not declare, suffer the little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. O brothers of the golden robe, how often you have told me that when mankind began to get a little knowledge, it becomes for some a dangerous thing, for puffed up with human pride, they presume that they know all the laws of God, and spiritual arrogance and spiritual pride destroy the sweet simplicity of the child within them, and the man-child, the eternal Christ within them, cannot come into manifestation, for they intrude themselves between it. They screen out the divine qualities and manifest the human. Look at the flowers, blessed ones, how gentle, how sweet, how lovely they are. You could all be as they. There is none upon this earth that would not, that could not, if they would, be as the flowers. With God all things are possible. I have heard it spoken that some men cannot be saved. I have heard recently from among mankind the expression that with some life streams there is no hope. I declare in the name of our infinite Father, the I Am presence of all life, there is hope for all. I am the hope of the world. I am the hope of the world. I am the hope of the world. What have I spoken? Blessed ones, what have I spoken? Do you know? I shall tell you. Every one upon earth has a holy Christ self. This holy Christ self, this divine light, this magnificent substance eternal, this qualification of light from the Father's own heart is the Christ of that man and that woman's being, given to them the perfect mediator between their own God presence, pictured in the chart you see here, the mighty I Am presence, and the human form enveloped in violet flame. This mediator, which is not shown upon the chart, is the Christ of every man. It is to that I address myself, to the great cosmic Christ. O Maitreya, thou friend of old and friend of light, who knowest full well the sweet mysteries of life, I ask thee this day flood thou forth through the consciousness of these thy children a greater understanding of the meaning of the universe. The forest so well conceals the trees from the consciousness of men that my law, which they profess to love so much, so often is broken in human relationship. O our Father, my prayer, bless these with the cosmic Christ illumination. Flood into their feeling world our feeling of compassion, not of human sympathy, but of divine compassion. Flood into their being the fullness of thyself, Maitreya, that they may know the radiance of that mediator that dwells between their human form and their God presence. Let them know themselves. When I stood for initiation as a candidate for initiation before the doors of Luxor, and I observed the inscription written then in the Egyptian language, "Know thyself," I was somewhat younger in spiritual evolution then, but the words struck into my consciousness, and I said, "What am I? What am I?" Man, know thyself, know thyself. As I speculated and begun to meditate, I realized that I was not the physical form. I realized that there was something intangible, something incorporeal, something wonderful within me. I observed death in the spiritual community near Nazareth. I saw my loved ones, my friends pass on. Some were aged and some were young. I knew that something stopped their beating heart, and it was still. And I realized that myself could not be my form either. And I speculated, and I went very far in thought into those realms. I need not raise the curtain for you. You have a holy Christ self. Call to it. It is myself. It is thyself. It is God's true and radiant Son. To it I call today. To it I call for life always. To it I call for a radiant outpouring. To it I call for a flowering of the Spirit. To it I call for life to flow, for intelligence to come into manifestation, for understanding to flourish. I pray that the cult of the Spirit, which is not a bad word in our language, for it is the true culture of the Father, shall flourish upon this planet, and that beauty and loveliness epitomized in the Christ consciousness shall be the lot of every man and woman. And to that end I do that now which I long ago spoke unto Pilate and declared that I could do. Abba, Father, I call to thee in the name of the mighty I Am presence of all life from the great central sun. Alpha and Omega, part thou the way. In the great dividing of the way, project thou into this force field legions of cosmic angels. Bring them here this Easter morning in memory not only of my victory attained through thee, but in memory of their own victory. Blessed angels of light, In the name of God, I leave my Easter blessing here. Resurgam Christus, resurgam Christus, resurgam Christus. It is done. Wherever you go, know that I am. For again I say, as when I came today, lo, I am with you always, even until you pass, either through the glory of your own ascension, or pass through the gateways of life and death and new hope. My peace I leave with you, not as the world leaves, but as the Father gives. Keep it, guard it, sustain it. Let no man take it from thee. I have spoken. Thank you all, and good morning.
Grace and beauty and peace be unto you each one. Ageless wisdom unfolds before man as a scroll, and the consciousness of those who are truly illumined is blessed by the light of God that does not fail, conveying to man's hearts, silently at times and then again by the lessons and experiences of life, the wonders and unfolding beauty of the divine intent. I am come this afternoon charged with the infinite compassion for all life upon this planetary body. I am come to console those who have need of consolation, to bring a sense of freedom to those who have a desire for it, and to bring joy to the hearts of men, that they may rejoice in those divine experiences which transcend those chains which men themselves have forged and created in ignorance, to bind themselves to a ceaselessly seeming round of unhappy experiences, when all of heaven stands ready and willing to release mankind from bondage into the illimitable light of God and the compassion of the ascended masters. Beloved ones, I am so clearly able to perceive human deceit that it is unnecessary for me to tell you that God knows that which is in the hearts of men, and recognizes the fact that men themselves have created in their ignorance various aptitudes for self-deception and for the deception of others. And by this I refer to divinity in the manifest personage of the Holy Christ Self with its discriminating intelligence. It is this deceit that I will erase from the screen of mankind's consciousness, for so long as mankind themselves permit themselves to be deceived or attempt to deceive others, they are looking through, as it were, smoked glasses which are of such opaque density as to prohibit the light of the sun of illumination from passing through. It is as though they were sitting in a place where permanent night manifests, and they could not behold the light of day. Deceit, beloved ones, whether applied to oneself or applied to another, is never the plan of God. And therefore I urge upon each one of you a feeling of great Christ release that will let go from within your own heart every trace of cupidity, which, beloved ones, if you will pardon this gentle expression, is stupidity in action. Will therefore free yourselves from that desire to deceive either your fellow man or your Creator. You will find coming into your world a manifestation of the wonder of divine love, which is worthwhile, beloved ones, and far greater than you might have ever conceived of as possible when you abode, beloved ones, in mortal concepts. Therefore, free yourselves by releasing into the transmuting flame of forgiveness all feelings whatsoever that you might have retained in the former times of ignorance. And I understand, beloved ones, with absolute compassion, how that in this world, with all of its densities, man sometimes feels the need to protect themselves by some form or mode of defense, and therefore they build and fabricate some type of defense mechanism based on deceit. Beloved ones, the old statement which has been made, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive, is so apropos then of mankind, who desire to form defense mechanisms before their fellow men. Well, beloved ones, we would sweep this away by an inundating tide of God's divine love, which levels the various grades of human consciousness for the practical purposes of heaven, and brings to all mankind the exaltation of the light, which raises men to the summit experiences of their existence, where they are able to recognize that the climb upward is, as Almora has said in the past, worthy of all inconveniences suffered on the ascent. Beloved ones, if you will look into the histories of the ascended beings, that is, those of us who are known to you, you will find that we did not always have an easy time of it. Neither were we sheltered in all cases from the various oppressions of life itself. We felt the heat of the noontide day. We were able to find that as we struggled up the mountainside, that we ourselves at times did bruise our limbs against the rocks. And therefore, we also know what it means to feel the prick of a thorn along the road of life. But we did not let those events deter us or keep us from pressing onward toward those heights of faith in which we believed then and which we now affirm to you by our own manifest victory. Beloved ones, the time is fast approaching when you will celebrate, as it were, the anniversary of my ascension in the light. Beloved ones, I wish to express to you my gratitude for the lilacs which grace this altar here on the sideboard surrounding the figure of beloved Kuan Yin. Truly, they are a gracious gesture of mercy, and all of the springtime of the world, wherever the lilacs adorn the gardens and byways of life, speaks to the hearts of men of the great flame of mercy and forgiveness manifest in the color of violet, and the violet flame in action as it manifests in the floral kingdom. The fragrance of the lilacs, beloved ones, speaks to your hearts also of the eternal springtime, and the eternal springtime speaks unto your hearts of great eras of freedom, prosperity, joy, and golden ages when men's hearts are knit together, and there is not that separateness felt by those who feel compelled to take defense measures against their fellow man. O beloved ones, the bastions of the free world as well as the communist world and the nations today, as in past ages, still find it necessary to fortify themselves against one another, and therefore great billions of dollars are expended, and tremendous numbers of mankind are in the armed services of the world, rendering a service to their respective nations according to the mandates and laws of those various countries as defense mechanisms against one another. Consider for a moment what it would mean to mankind if all of these life streams could be set free and the billions of dollars could be released into the great markets of the world to bring to those needy individuals who need to have their living standard raised a greater beneficent bestowing of the simple pleasures of life, such as eating nourishing foods and receiving proper housing and clothing. Beloved ones, those in the Western world today who are among the fortunate ones who have ample clothing and shelter as well as food and the necessary elements of life, do not realize, unless you travel to foreign lands or make a study of it, the pitiful plight of many of those individuals. Mankind today in various parts of the world where religions are extolled which seem to bring out the elements of karma, sometimes are inclined to turn a piteous ear to the pleas of these individuals by stating that it is the law of karma in action. Well, beloved ones, it may be the law of karma in action, but you are still your brother's keeper, and it is the responsibility of life to set men free. And therefore the great love tide that is invoked today as I am speaking to you shall flood through the chalice of your individual beings as these lilacs burst forth from the stem, and as immortal living conscious life you shall begin today an action that shall inundate the world. Behold, beloved ones, the action of the mighty threefold flame of your own immortal beings as it comes into balanced action. Feel the balanced action of the threefold flame in you, becoming an action of expansion, whereby by perfection there is an even pressure of expansion of love, wisdom, and power. Then, as this love, wisdom, and power expands its light, it first encompasses an area approximately 1,000 feet from your physical form. This circle of light becomes consecrated to the violet flame, the flame of mercy and forgiveness, and you feel a great onrushing tide of your being out into that circle. Beloved ones, it is as then beloved Jesus was and sensed when he stood and said, Behold, who touched me? And they spake unto him and said, Master, how sayest thou, who touched thee, when the multitude presses around? He says, Nay, but I perceive that virtue has flowed forth from me. So it is, beloved ones, with you today. For as this great love tide flows through the chalice of your hearts out into the world of form for 1,000 feet, the energy which you have consecrated and released, which I am charging forth into your individual fountains of light, is then expanded to bless those that are within this circle. And therefore, as that energy flows forth to them, and it is released to you, you may also say, What has happened? Who has touched me? Who has drawn upon me? But, beloved ones, the great picture of heaven's love is a giant laver of light and love and power continues to pour through you today. The light of God is the all-encompassing threefold flame, and also as the flame of liberty, and also as the flame of mercy and forgiveness. Therefore, this flame is expanding tangibly. Now we shall widen the experience of each one of you, and we shall increase the scope of this radiation. Let then the pulsating flame of the threefold flame within you expand further, and let it take in not only the boroughs, but the periphery of greater New York to an area of 25 miles from the city. From 1,000 feet, you have leaped now to 25 miles, and behold, the chalice is beginning to pour greater energy through your being. In the name of mercy and forgiveness, expand then this wider circle until more people are the beneficiaries of your action and of mine. Hold your flame steady, beloved ones. Pour forth that energy now in the name of mercy. And now we shall step still further, beloved ones. We shall widen it from 25 miles to 2,500 miles, beloved ones. And the wider circle encompasses the earth. In this more expansive state of consciousness, a more throbbing and pulsating power of the mercy forgiveness flame can be released into your midst. Like a Niagara of power, it flows forth through you, and the great throbbing of it is heard and felt in the heart of the nation. Now, O violet flame angels, I invoke thy presence, for we will manifest this to expand it unto the earth, and to flood it forth to foreign lands, across the seas, the islands of the sea, and to the planetary body. None shall escape the inundating flood tide of our love. The flame of mercy and forgiveness is now expanded until it covers the earth around about with love. Beloved ones, you are a spearhead and a fountainhead of power. Through you flows this very hour the light of God to bring compassionate peace, forgiveness, and mercy to a world hungering after righteousness, that they might be filled with the right use of life's energy. Beloved ones, we shall now leave the continued action of this release into the hands of your holy Christ selves and mighty I Am presence. And this flame shall continue to pour forth so long as this class is convened. And after the class has terminated, the energy shall be maintained for 24 hours by the violet flame angels to bring an increased blessing to the world from this blessed group. Beloved ones, does this seem to you impossible of comprehension to your blessed life streams? Then bear in mind that the Holy 12 apostles of beloved Jesus were able to touch the world, and they were only 12. Then there was Mary and Jesus and my own life stream as Joseph, and we touched the earth also. The action today of the immortal threefold flame of life, as it expands through you, is a blessing to the world, it is true. But this is within the framework of cosmic law, and it is in divine order. For you are instruments of God, and as His instruments, you are destined to play that part which you are willing to play in the emancipation of mankind from the thraldom of the senses and the oppression of evil. Beloved ones, what is evil? The key to it is so clearly depicted in the word itself. If you remove the word, the letter E, from evil, you have the word veil. Beloved ones, it is merely a veil of corrupted consciousness For mankind have corrupted their consciousness from the pristine purity of God, and through the veil they see unclearly upon the screen of life those elements which are fashioned after mortality, after judgment, and which lack compassion. God is always compassionate unto his children. He extends the infinite mercy of himself to mankind day after day, and night after night. When men in their own self-created terrors and fears lie upon beds of pain and sorrow, when they are unhappy and passing through tragic experiences, and they make their calls to the heart of divinity to be heard, divinity, by its own mighty light rays, flashes forth and assuages their grief, wiping away the tears from their eyes, and bringing to them that comfort which they sometimes may have denied to others, but which they seek them for themselves. Life does not hold vengeance for individuals' inequities. Life seeks to free mankind and teach them by the superior attributes of mercy that God does forgive all inequities and adjusts mankind by the balance of his love until they no longer walk in a sense of fear, but in a sense of freedom, replacing fear by freedom, replacing ignorance by knowledge, replacing darkness and shadow by the light. Mankind frequently, because of misunderstanding, because they have put so much time into studying the world, but not enough time in studying about God, seem to feel that the world situation is aggravated and that God does not properly care for it. Beloved ones, while this is understandable in the sense that men who do not apply their hearts to God as much as they should, very easily can be perceived to think thus. Those who will apply their hearts to God to know his all-wise and all-loving care will recognize that God could never, in all eternity, feel aught else but utter love and compassion for the creation which he has made. The roses of heaven so fair bloom upon the earth and in the hearts of men. They do not discriminate nor offer their thorns to mankind, for the thorns were imposed upon this branch by man's attention upon error, and each thorn was intended to be another rose in bud. But mankind, through their misattention and misapprehension and fear, have blighted the bud as it sought to express, until the thorn manifested instead. Blunt then those thorns of human expression by application to the heart of heaven, and receive from the hand of God your own freedom to express the beauties of the kingdom of God manifest upon earth. Beloved ones, as I am speaking to you now, there is an action going on this planet. An attempt is being made to foment a new war in a certain part of the earth. Beloved K-17, in the Cosmic Secret Service, has instantly been called into action, and a tremendous outpouring of the cosmic light has caused certain agents of America and this government to capture some individuals who at this very moment were seeking to bring about conditions which would have brought the world into untold misery. I am not permitted to reveal the exact nature of this, nor the spot upon earth where it is manifesting. But I will say this, that it was a two-pronged attack intended to be launched in the Far East, and another one in the Southern Hemisphere. Beloved ones, I hope that you will recognize that this is a very tense situation, and that you will recognize that it is the desire of the ascended masters to stop all such action before it occurs. Therefore stand always alert and close to your own mighty iron presence, that those actions which are sinister and of the evil forces may be aborted before they occur, and that in their place the manifestation of Christ's peace may sweep the earth. The golden age in his true blessed hearts seeks to express daily in the hearts of men. But old habit patterns and old ideas are deeply cut into the earth, like the Grand Canyon. Beloved ones, the tremendous tracings of human thought and feeling remain etched into the rocks of mortality, and mankind in the sense of crystallized consciousness do not feel the great pressure and power of love as it seeks to level all those conditions of oppression and replace it by divine love. I am most grateful to convey to you the knowledge that this particular matter of which I spoke a moment ago has been taken care of at this time. But the students will have to recognize that it is necessary frequently for us to have tremendous energy in order to accomplish such matters. And therefore we did use a great deal of the energy which you developed here this day in sending it forth to assist the discovery of these very matters. Beloved ones, those who seek to deceive in various parts of the world the family of nations and to bring forth discord do not care, for they operate under the services and auspices of those tools of the black magicians that have far too long affected the mankind of this earth. The oppressions of those claws shall not continue indefinitely, for we are determined to give mankind their freedom as never before. I therefore ask the student body here to repeat with me, with a mighty charge, these words: I am freedom in action in me now. 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 Peace, beloved ones, won't you please be seated? The pressures of human existence may continue to mount on the world scene, but it is our desire to help the student body of not only this activity, but every sincere endeavor that seeks to serve the light, to their ascension and freedom from all outer conditions that are less than perfection. And therefore, as I am speaking to you now, I hope that you will recognize that in the months ahead, we shall continue to call upon you for a very special purpose, to release mankind from these weights that they know not of. Vigilance is needed as never before. Valley Forge has long passed. Yes. And other areas of the world have passed. But I tell you, beloved ones, vigilance is needed each hour. The wise will perceive the necessity of attention upon their presence. They will recognize that human limitation can be transcended, and at last mankind can emerge from the cocoon of ignorance into the victory of the light and the light of the ascension. May this come to each of you in due time, but meanwhile, as you serve the light, may your days be blessed with the infinite spirit of compassion that fills all life. May you feel the soft breezes of the Holy Spirit passing over your beings, and may this spirit of light and peace assuage all feelings of discomfort in your world. May the love of the Mahachohan enfold your hearts with a mantle of the sacred fire, sheaths of light and shields of light around you now and always, that you may be victors and soldiers of the light, not conducting warfare after the fashion of mankind, but spiritual warfare on behalf of the light. This is a worthwhile cause. It is a necessary one, and I therefore commend each of you today who have offered me the chalice of your attention. You shall not find that attention has been ill-rewarded, but you shall find that it shall be rewarded within the next week in a manner that I am not about to speak of. For I have certain plans in mind, which may occur to your outer knowledge and may not, but they are connected with your blessed life streams and your advance and progress in the light of God. Some men feel that they desire to absent themselves from this specific place because they did not in their own hearts feel a desire to come to this specific neighborhood, and therefore they have denied themselves a great blessing. I do not wish you to speak to them about this, for if you do, it will be charged to the karma of your own life stream. I therefore ask that everyone here shall keep this privately to themselves, and that it be stricken from the written transcript of this particular discourse. However, I tell it to you in confidence that you may recognize that this place is as much a part of heaven as any place upon the earth. And God recognizes every spot as holy. Those who have within themselves especial regard for outer conditions and circumstances so frequently deny themselves much of the glory of God. I would not therefore compare this room to a manger, for it is dedicated by priceless and holy energies to the cause of life. But I will say this, that just as some men today in their pride would not journey to a manger to behold the Christ, so some would not come here this afternoon. I only ask that you pray for them, for they shall find that because they did not do this, that they shall be denied a blessing that is of quite great import. However, some individuals are with you in spirit, but not in form. They would like to be here, but for other reasons could not be here. I tell you, beloved ones, the time will come when the walls of many of the places that now contain our devotees, such as ye, will not be able to contain the number who shall come seeking the light of God that does not fail. The expansive tide of our love shall sweep across the borders of America and bring forth greater and greater manifestations of the unfailing light of God. And that which is shadowed in evil shall tremble, for the light of God and the light of the Holy Spirit shall be amplified in human hearts. And the spirit of the eternal radiance, like a cherished flower borne by angelic hands, shall come to earth and delight the atmosphere itself with the perfume of its coming, until the winds of the world shall be saturated with the aromas of heaven, the wonders of mercy in manifestation, the tribute to compassion as a flame, the saturation of the flame within the atmosphere, that men may breathe freedom and partake of all of its elements, not only in their physical form, but in their spiritual being, in their minds, in the cherished and secret places of God within their heart. This shall be, for men have chosen to honor freedom. This shall be, for men have chosen to enshrine freedom. This shall be, for men have loved freedom. And freedom shall triumph, and all lust shall be dashed in pieces as a potter breaks an imperfect vessel, and the earth shall manifest the fullness of the light of God that does not fail. This shall be in the holy name of the goddess of liberty, the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. They shall come to freedom's shrine, and they shall be received and not denied admittance. All shall come by mercy and forgiveness, and the expansions of men's consciousness shall reach out toward the cosmos as groping fingers of light that shall find that which they seek. Oneness, amity, unity with God and with men. Brotherhood shall sweep the world around with a band of light until men shall no longer hurt or destroy in the holy mountain of spiritual aspiration. Now, in the religions of the world, now in spiritual endeavors, some choose in their ignorance to hurt and to attempt to destroy. Then this shall not be, for the light shall shine so brightly and so clearly that men shall perceive living truth, and that truth shall be in them, and no guile or deceit. This is life. This is light. This is love, as it was in the beginning, as it should have been in the middle, and as it shall be in the end of the age, when finite existence shall be folded as a swaddling garment, and the man-child of this earth shall stand forth to rule over the earth with dominion and power and glory in the holy name of God, the mighty I Am Presence. So be it then, in God's name, I am. I thank you each one for your attention and your love. I have been today somewhat fervent, somewhat swept, as it were, by the great tide of longings of men's hearts. And I know that you will understand this has not been an ordinary occasion, but an extraordinary occasion, but one which I have loved. For I have loved these moments with you who have loved me so long. I continue to stand beside those of you who gaze up to me with hope and say, Saint Germain, I wish to serve your cause. I shall not forsake you, as you have not forsaken me either. And you have not forsaken your mighty I Am Presence. Therefore, we shall continue to march on together in the transcendent light of God. Gracious ones, I bid you adieu.